The only word I could think of for this rhyme was shelve. Now let's build daily interaction number 12. Hey, what's up everyone? John with WebDev for you, and welcome to the Daily Interaction series where every weekday we build a new interaction or animation in Webflow. And I'll just start off today's video tutorial with saying that CSS grids looks amazing. I was just in the live chat with where Linda and Nelson did a presentation on the new CSS grids that's coming out in October. And it looks amazing. So in the upcoming tutorials, I'll be using CSS grids. It's coming out somewhere in October. So just wanted to preface that if you're following Webflow and following their current developments and things like that. But yeah, that's just a side note. Today's video tutorial is really great. We're going to create an image reveal on scroll. So here when I scroll down, we have these images. We kind of have that panel reveal effect, or the block reveal effect. And we've used this technique in a few other daily interactions. So we're going to get a bit more practice with it today and create this block reveal effect as we scroll through the site. Yeah, so this is what we will be building today. To view more daily interactions and premium content, visit webdevforyou.com. Also be sure to subscribe below to receive a notification every time there is a new daily interaction. Okay, so here I have a blank Webflow project, and the first thing we'll do is we'll start with the daily interaction class naming convention. So it's the daily interaction number, so today is 12, and then the element. All right, so every element on the site will have a d-12 in front of it, and this is for consistency purposes and so that we know we're working with daily interaction number 12. Okay, so the first thing I'll do here is I'll add an element, I'll add a section, and I'll give it the class name d-12 section 1. So we're going to have two sections. So the first section is going to fill the height of the viewport. So we'll set it to a height of 100 VH. So it spans the full height of the viewport, and it will be the full width as well. Then I'll scroll down to background. I'll give it a background color of black. And the reason we're adding a full width and height section is because once we scroll past that section, we want the interaction to start playing. So initially the user will have an entire viewport, and once they scroll, that's when the image reveal will occur, or the block reveal effect will occur. Okay, so now I'll click on the body and we'll add another section. So I'll add an element, I'll add a section, and I'll give it the class name d-12 section 2. Okay, and it's right down here. So for this, I'm not going to give it any width or height because I want it to inherit its width and height from the children element. Or right now it's going to be the full width of the viewport, but I want it to inherit the height from its children elements. So we'll leave it like that. I'll just give it a background color of black, and that's it. So the other thing I would want to do here is set a display setting of flex and justify center and align center so that the columns, so these are actually columns, and I want these to be in the center. So I want the row and the columns to be in the center. So yeah, we set a display setting of flex, justify center, and align center. So the next thing I'll do is I'll add columns. So I'll add an element, I'll select columns, and for this I want 3 columns. So here in the column settings, I'll select 3, and there we have 3 columns. And for this, I'll give it the class name d-12. Let me see, actually let's go into the structure of the column. So if we open it up, we have the column, and this should actually be a row. So let me undo that, make sure we got this right. So add element, columns. Okay, so it says column here instead of row. Okay, so yeah, there we have 3 columns, and let me just rename it to d-12. I'll say row. It's going to be a row, and inside of it we have 3 columns, column 1, 2, and 3. So for the D-12 row, I'm going to set it to a width of 100% and a max width of 960 pixels, because on really large screens I don't want this row to get larger than 960 pixels. And then for the height, I'm going to set the row to a height of 400 pixels. So we have, because in this example, these images are 400 pixels in height because the row is 400 pixels in height. And then I can go into each column. So we have column 1. So I'll just give it the class name D-12 column 1, and I'll give it a height of 100%. So it fills the entire row. Then I'll go to column 2, D-12 column 2, and I'll give it a height of 100%. And then I'll go to D-12 column 3, and I'll give it a height of 100%. All right, so there we have the columns. And the next thing we need to do is we're gonna add the wrapper, and then we're gonna add div blocks inside of the wrapper. And this will make a bit more sense in a second. So here I'll select column 1, I'll add an element, and I'll add a div block. And I'll name this D-12 column, column right, or let me see how I named him here. So let me click here, go into the, CR wrapper right. Okay, so column, I'll do it that way. So this is gonna stand for column right. So this is gonna be the interaction where the block goes from the left to the right. So I'll say column right wrapper, and column right, or wrapper right, CR, or I can just say D-12 wrapper right. Okay, so it's gonna go from left to right. And for this, I'll set the height to 100%, and I'm gonna set the overflow to hidden. Okay, so you might be wondering, why are we adding a wrapper to the column? And this is because later on, we can move this wrapper to the different columns to create the different, if you notice here, if I click refresh, these all, the different reveals, the ones that go from left to right, up and down, they're in different locations as we scroll. All right, so it'll be a bit more clear in a second. All right, so there's the wrapper right, and I set it to an overflow of hidden and a height of 100%. The reason we set it to overflow hidden is because we're gonna have the block reveal effect, and we don't want to see anything outside of this wrapper. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll add the image and the block. So I'm gonna add it to the wrapper. So we have column 1. So there we have D-12 wrapper right. And for this, I'll add an element. I'll add a div block, and I'll call this D-12. Let's see what I want to do for this one. D-12, we'll say image, okay? And for this, I'll give it a position of absolute. And also we want to set the wrapper right to a position of relative as well, because we want that absolute position div inside of it to be relative to the wrapper and not relative to some other parent element. So by setting it to relative, anything inside of it will be relative to it. Okay, so now let's select the D-12 image, and I'll set the position to absolute, and I'll set it to full. So this div fills the entire wrapper, okay? And then I'll give it a background image. So here I'll add a background image. I'll choose an image, and I've already uploaded these images to Webflow. So I'll select this bear, set the position to cover, position it in the center, and I don't need it to be tiled. So for tile, I'll say none. Okay, so there we have that. And the next thing I'll do is select or add the block. So here for D-12 wrapper right, I'll add an element, I'll add another div block, go into styles, and I'll call this D-12 block. Okay, and I'll set it to a position of absolute and full, so it fills the entire wrapper. And then for the background, I'll give it a background color of blue. Okay, so there we have the block and the image, they're inside the wrapper. The wrapper has an overflow of hidden and a position of relative. So now we can create the interaction. But before we do that, I want to copy and paste an image and a block to column 2 and column 3. So what I'll do here is I will copy and paste the wrapper right, go into column 2 and paste into column 2 and column 3. So there's a few things I want to do here because I want a different color for the block and I want a different image. So what I can do is select the second wrapper right in the second column, and I'm actually going to remove this class, and I'm going to call it D-12 wrapper up. Okay, and then for this I'm going to set a height of 100% and an overflow of hidden. Okay, in a position of relative. Okay, so I'm just renaming the class because it's going to be easier when we add the interaction to just rename the class. All right, and I also want to change the image. So here for D-12 image, I'll select it in the second column. I'll give it a combo class of 2, so we can give it its own individual properties. And then I'll just replace the image, and I'll select this image here of the elephant. And then I'll go into the block, D-12 block, and I'll set it to 2, give it a combo class of 2, and I'll change the color to this magenta. All right, and then so for column 3, we want to do the similar thing. So instead of D-12 wrapper right, I'm going to remove the class, and I'm going to give it a class name of D-12 wrapper down. Okay, I'll give it a height of 100%, an overflow of hidden, and a position of relative. All right, then I'll go into the image, give it a combo class of 3, and I'll change the image, replace the image, and I'll set it to this gorilla. All right, and then I'll go into the block, give it a combo class of 3, and then I'll change the color to this plum color here. All right, so there I have the 3 blocks and looks good. So what I can do now is add an interaction to each block. So for the first one, I'll select the D-12 wrapper right. I'll go to the interactions, and here it's going to be a page trigger. So when the page is scrolled, or wait, let me see. No, it's going to be an element trigger. So I'm going to click the plus, and when the wrapper scrolls into view, we want to start an animation. So when scrolled into view, I'm going to start an animation. I'm going to add a new timed animation, so I'll click the plus, and I'll call this D-12 wrapper right. And D-12, or I can just say D-12 right. Okay. So the block is going to go from left to right, and for this, I want to select the block, and I'm going to add a new timed action. I'm going to move it on the x-axis. I'm going to move it to negative 100%, and I'm going to set it as the initial state, so it starts initially on the left, and then I'll select the image, and I don't want it to be visible initially, so I'll add a new timed action, and I'll say hide show. And for this, I'll say display none, so we don't see the image. And then I'll click, hold, and drag and place it on top of the block. So it also starts, so it has the initial state of display none. So the next thing I want to do is bring in the block. So I'll say, I'll select the block here. We can select it in the interactions because we can now see it here. And I can say, add a new timed action, I'll say move, and I'll move it to 0%, and we'll set the easing to ease out expo. That's just a personal preference. You can set it to any easing you'd like, and a duration of 0.5 is okay. And then I want the image to show, so I'm going to say hide show, and for this I'm going to say block, and I'm going to set a delay. Let me see how I actually have it here. So let me go into the interaction. Yeah, so move. Okay, yeah, so, okay. So then we'll show it, yeah. So we'll say display block, and then we'll have that block move to the right. So I'll select the block, say move, and I'll set it to 100%. Okay, and then I'll set a delay of 0.2, so there's a little pause when it comes in. So the block will come in, pause for 0.2 seconds, and then the image will show as well, and then the block will move to the right. And I'll set an easing of ease out expo, and that's it. So now if I preview and I scroll, let me start at the top, and I scroll, we see that block reveals. And let me see if I have the timing. Yeah, 0.5, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so ease out expo, and also for these, when scrolled into view, I'm gonna add an offset of 40%, so it doesn't start right away. It waits till the page, or till the element is 40% in view, and then it animates. So yeah, if I start from the top, I scroll, we see it doesn't animate yet, but once we've reached 40% of the element in view, it starts to animate. Okay, so yeah, I know I went over a lot there. Let me know if you have any questions about that. This next part should be easy because we can just duplicate some of these interactions. So here I'll select wrapper up, and I'll go into, I'll add a new element trigger, and we'll say scroll into view. We're going to start an animation when scrolling into view. I'll duplicate D-12 right, so I'll say duplicate, and I'll select it here. And for this, I'll say D-12 -up, and we're just gonna change the target here. So I'll right click, change target on the block, and I'll change it to the second block. And I'll select the image, right click, change target, select the second image, and I'll right click, change target, select the second block, right click on the image, change target, select the second image, block, right click, change target, select the second block. Okay, so if I view again, yeah, so let me view and I scroll, yeah, let me go back into the interaction, and we'll add an offset of 40%, so it doesn't start right away. And we'll start at the top. So now I scroll, and they both have that interaction. But for this second one, I want the block to go from bottom to top. So I just have to select D-12 up. And for the block, the initial state, I want it to start, yeah, I'm gonna remove the X, so I can just hover over it and select the X. And on the Y, I want it to start 100% down. Yeah, instead of to the left on the X, I want it to be on the Y and start at the bottom. So I say 100%, so it moves all the way to the bottom. And the image is fine. The block, yeah, now we want it to go to 0%, so that's okay. Then the image will show, and then the block, instead of X moving to the right, so I'll remove the X. Instead of moving to the right, I'm gonna say move negative 100% on the Y. So it goes from the bottom to the top on the Y axis. And that's it. So now if I preview and I scroll, something weird happened there. So let me preview again. I scroll, it's kind of jittering a bit. Oh, and that's probably because we don't have any space at the bottom. Yeah, that'll be fixed as we go through the interaction. Yeah, so let's do the last one here. Let me select D-12 wrapper down, and I'll add a new scroll into view, start an animation, and I'll duplicate the up, and we'll click on it, and I'll say D-12 down. And for this, for the block, we'll start it at negative 100% on the Y. Or actually, let's undo that. What we want to do is change the target. So I'll right click, change target, and I'll select the third block, image, right click, change target, select the third image. The block, I'll right click, change target, select the third block, image, right click, change target, select the image, the third image, block, right click, change target, select the third block. Okay, and now I'll change the settings. So instead of starting at 100%, so it's at the bottom, we'll start at negative 100%. The image is okay. Then the block will move to 0%. And then for the image, we'll have it display block. And then for the block, instead of negative 100%, we'll move it to 100%. So it goes from the top to the bottom. So we start at negative 100% on the Y, and then we go to 100% on the Y. And that's it. So we have the left to right, bottom to top, and top to bottom. So now I'll preview. Yeah, and we also need to set an offset of 40% so it doesn't start right away. And yeah, let me start at the beginning. I'll preview, scroll down, and yeah. So the bottom and the top are kind of jittering a bit, and I think it's because we don't have any website space at the bottom. All right, so let's do an interesting thing now. So now what I'll do, because we have all the interactions applied to each wrapper, so I'll hit Command C for the row here in the navigator. I'll select row, hit Command C to paste, and also for the section 2, let's say set a display setting of vertical and justify center and align center. So now I'll select D-12 row, I'll hit Command C to copy and paste twice, so we have 3 rows. I'll add some bottom and top margin, so I'll hold down Alt with the row selected, and I'll add, let's say 30, maybe 20 pixels, or yeah, we'll do 10, so it's kind of like a grid there. And now let's see how this looks. So I preview, I scroll. Yeah, I'm not sure why these are jittering a bit. That's interesting. Let me scroll down. Let me go into the interaction and see. So wrapper up, slider into view, D-12 up. So it starts at 100% at the bottom. And image. So let me see if I set the overflow for each wrapper. Yeah, they have an overflow of hidden. Yeah, not quite sure. Maybe when I publish it, let me try publishing it, see if that jittering goes away. So let's preview. I'll scroll. Interesting. Not exactly sure why that's occurring, but we'll keep it moving. I might be missing something. So let's see, the block starts at the bottom. The image is set to hide. The block comes into 0%. Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. So instead of, the reason it was jittering is because it's moving to 0% on the x-axis and not the y. So here I'm going to remove the x and set it to 0% on the y. Okay, there we go. And then the block, so that should do it. And then I'll select the wrapper down, go to the interaction. Yeah, let me select it here, wrapper down, select it here. And for the block, remove the x and set it to 0% on the y because they're moving vertically. So the initial position needs to be 0% on the y. So now I'll preview. Yeah, let me start at the top. I'll scroll down and perfect. Okay, so just have to fix that really quick. The other thing I want to do is select the row, and I'm just going to move these rows a little bit so they're not, you know, all the same size. So yeah, I'll preview, and there we go. Okay, so let's move on to the these other ones here. So if I scroll, I would want the interaction to be applied to these ones as well. And we can easily do that by going into Webflow, and I'll select the wrapper right. I'll go to the interaction, go into the right interaction, and rather than just affecting this specific element, I can affect a class. So any element with the wrapper right class will have this interaction applied to it, and we're going to affect children elements because the block and the image are children elements of the wrapper. Okay, so here for effect, instead of selected element, I'll say class, and instead of all elements with this class, I'm going to say only children with this class. So I'm going to do that for the block and the image. So I'll select the image, select class, and only children with this class. And the other thing I want to do is close this, and rather than affecting an element, I want to affect a class. So any element with the D-12 wrapper right becomes an interaction trigger. So now if I go into the navigator, we can see that we have D-12 wrapper right. It's an interaction trigger because it has a circle with a lightning bolt symbol, and this one does too. So now any element with D-12 wrapper right becomes an interaction trigger, and we're only affecting the children element, so the elements inside of it, which are the image and the block. Only those specific elements will be affected. All right, if you have any questions about that, definitely let me know. It does take a moment to kind of, it takes a bit of practice to work with the interactions and affecting classes and triggering classes as well. So yeah, now if I preview, and I scroll down, we notice that the first, the blue block, or the wrapper right, is affected on all 3 rows. So now we just need to do the same for the wrapper up. So I'll select wrapper up in the navigator, go into interactions, open it up, and I'll affect a class and only children with this class for the block, and same for the image class, only children with this class. So I'll close this here, and I also want to, for the trigger settings, select class, and that's it. And then for the last block, we'll go into, this is wrapper down, so I'll select wrapper down, go into scroll into view, select it here, and same thing, so we'll affect a class, only children with this class, and the image, we'll select class and only children with this class. So in the timed actions, any element that, if they're the same element, the option of affecting the class will be applied to the element. So we have the image twice here, so we can see that we're affecting the class for both, and the same with the block. So you wouldn't need to go through each timed action and set it to a class, just the specific elements. All right, so now if I preview, let me start at the top here. I preview, scroll down, perfect. All right, so now all we have to do is kind of play with the positioning of the wrappers. Okay, so let me select the second row. So let me collapse all. I'll select the second row, and I'll just change the kind of the positioning a bit. So something like this. And for the columns, let me open this up. So for the wrapper right, I'm going to put it in the 3rd column, and the wrapper down, I'll put in the 1st column. So I'm just moving these around so we can have a different effect, right? So I'll preview, we have that. Go to the next one. The width of the columns are different, and also the interactions are starting from a different place. So again, I'll preview, scroll, preview again, scroll down. We have that. On this one, the wrapper right is at the end, and the different up and down motions are in different locations. All right, so we just did that with moving a few things around, and makes it really easy. So let's select the 3rd row, and I'll open it here, and we'll do something like this. We'll make the middle one really wide, and let's see what we haven't done. So for the blue, let me collapse all. Let me go into the 3rd and open up all the columns. So the last one, I want it to be in the 2nd column, and no, let's undo that. The first one, the wrapper right, I want it to be in the 2nd column. The wrapper up, I want it to be, let me select it here. I want it to be in the 1st column, I think. Let's see if that's right. Yeah, perfect. And then, so the wrapper up is in the 1st column, the wrapper right is in the 2nd column, and the wrapper down is in the 3rd column. So you notice that we have pink in the last, and right here, then it's over here, and then it's at the end here. For blue, it's at the beginning, then it starts at the end, then it's in the middle, and then for the magenta, it's in the middle, then, oh, this is in the middle as well. So, we'll just leave it like that, but you get the idea, to kind of just moving things around so things are in different locations, basically. So now I'll preview, I'll scroll down, and it looks good. So that's how we create the block reveal effect on scroll within Webflow. And I can change the images for each one. I know this video is getting kind of long, so let me select the 2nd row. I'll go into the 4th image, and I'll give it another combo class of second for the 3rd. I'll say 2nd, and then I'll go into the image, replace it, and I'll select this image here, and go into the yeah, so we have column 1. Wait, so block, let me collapse. Yeah, column row 2, column 1, image. Yeah, so that's the one I changed. Then we'll go into the wrapper up, image, give it a combo class of second, second, and change the image, replace. I'll select this image, and then we'll do the third image here. Select the image, give it a combo class of second, and we'll replace the image. Yeah, this one here. Okay, so everything should stay intact. So now I'll preview, scroll, looks good, scroll, perfect. Okay, so we just had to add a third combo class. By removing the combo class, we actually affected the interaction. So I'll go through it. Yeah, I'll finish it just so we can completely finish the interaction. So I'll go into the third row, select the image, give it a third combo class, well, give it a combo class of third, and I'll change the image, replace image, and I'll say this one. Then I'll go into the next image in the third row, and I'll say, give it a combo class of third for third row, replace the image, select this image here, and I'll go down to the third column and select the image, give it a third combo class of third, and replace image, and I'll select this image here. Okay, so I think we got it. So I'll preview, scroll down, boom, looks good, and looks good. And let me just make sure that for the wrapper down, we have the offset. Yeah, okay. And that's it. So yeah, this video is fairly long, but I did want to cover that. We worked a lot with combo classes to replace the images. But yeah, using interactions and affecting classes and children of classes allows us to create things like this without having to manually affect every single column. Yeah, so hopefully that was all clear. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I know this video went fairly long, but yeah, we can discuss it in the comment section below or in the forum. All right, so that is it for daily interaction number 12, creating let's see, an image reveal on scroll. So I scroll down and it looks good. All right. And yeah, you can add more spacing in between the images and add more height to the rows and things like that. Yeah, so I could go into row 2. Let me see, row 2 here. I could give it a combo class of second, and I can change the height to 600. And I can add some, more margin to this, maybe 30 to add some more spacing. Scroll down, boom, boom, and boom. All right, so yeah, that's it. I'm not going to go over any more. Yeah, that's it for daily interaction number 12. To view more daily interactions and premium content, visit webdevforyou.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next daily interaction.